Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Forensic Focus. I am your host, Charles Amodio with FAZ Forensics. At FAZ Forensics, we specialize in business valuation and forensic accounting. When answers matter, FAZ delivers. Today, I'm here with my colleague, Paul Zarecki. Paul, how you doing today?
Doing great, Charlie. How about yourself?
Good, good. What's going on? What's new?
Let's see what's new. Just excited about the fall season. Excited about um, I like this type of weather, the crisp, cool air in the morning, a little bit warming up in the afternoon, a little bit cooler, a little bit easier on my dog, walking my dog. He likes the cooler temperatures. And you know me, I'm a sports person, right? So I love you think about all the sports going on. I love playoff baseball. Our teams, the Red Sox and the Yankees, are going at each other at the moment. And then obviously football, college football starting up, hockey starting up. A lot of great sports fall activities going on. So and it's getting back into the groove of things. Summer usually slows down for a lot of people, not necessarily us. It hasn't been a slow summer, but it's sort of you get back into the saddle again, for work. And it seems like that's everybody.
Yeah.
All the people that we talk to, all the people, all of our contacts, all of our referral sources over the years. It seems like it really starts after Labor Day, things really start to pick up and people are back to the grind, as they would say.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I know like, July and August, people, a lot of people are on vacation, right? And that after Labor Day, things crank up again, and I think the same is true for, obviously the end of the year, right? Last
Yeah.
few weeks of December, and things usually slow down and stuff like that. And obviously spending time with family and holiday stuff. And then boy, once that January hits, man, it's just like, you hit the ground running again.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's exactly true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So the um I know you and I were talking earlier, obviously with the cooler weather this morning, having to clean the ice off your car,
Yeah.
which is the first time we've done it this year. I actually turned the heat on in my car this morning. So
Yeah.
my
Yep.
seat warmer too. And I got a, obviously a short drive to the office, but um yeah, I needed the heat. It was chilly for sure.
Yeah, I think this was one of the first days we had frost in the area.
Yeah.
And well, as they would say, the growing season's done. I like to have a lot of stuff out in the garden, and it was pretty much the last of it last night with that frost that came through a little bit. But
No,
it was
absolutely.
a good year, good summer, and looking forward to the upcoming fall season and beyond for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I was talking earlier, I know you obviously focus on forensic accounting, financial investigations, and just see, touch base with you, see what kind of cases you're working on, with any interesting cases you're working on. You want to talk about a little bit today?
Yeah, we could talk about it. Obviously forensic accounting, our firm here, we do forensic accounting, we do business valuation, litigation support. I'm pretty much involved in that forensic accounting, litigation support area, as well as business valuation. I work closely with our partner Dave Consigli, and he's our valuation expert within the firm here, our valuation partner, and I do a lot of work with him on the forensic side as well. But forensic accounting, I've been involved, aside from being a CPA, I'm a certified fraud examiner, as well as certified in financial forensics through the AICPA, designations that I hold with honor, and I'm excited to share my experiences and talk to people about it, whether it's at career fairs, or whether it's at colleges, or speaking just to my peers about what we do. But forensic accounting, obviously, it's an exciting word, right? Or people love to hear about forensic accountants. Every time I tell somebody I'm a forensic accountant, they just like their ears perk for some reason. They think I got a right nice juicy story that I can tell. But obviously, a little bit confidential what we work on. We can't talk about these things, but they love to hear about things in general of what forensic accountants do. And forensic accountants, if you think about it, we're you know you and I, Charlie, was being CPAs, and our partner Steve and Dave, and a lot of people within our firm, we have that foundation. We have that foundation of, doing some audit work over the years and doing tax work over the years, and any other experience we would have throughout our CPA experience. But that foundation builds us to be able to look at things a little bit differently, and to have that, have a greater knowledge when we're starting to look at cases on whether we're looking at some of the cases I work on. Work on embezzlements quite a bit, misappropriation of assets. That's something that we get called in on all the time to take a look at. That's a situation where somebody within an organization may have taken money out of the organization, and somebody needs to investigate to determine how it happened. And a lot of times when they are investigating, they may find that's not just the one thing that they discovered, but it could be other things that have been occurring within there. So it's a lot of times when somebody does call us, they think, hey, this is what this person was doing, and we would recommend, hey, let's take a look and see what else maybe they could have done. If they've had complete control of the records, well, you don't know what they have done. So we work on, a lot of that misappropriation of assets. We get involved with, excuse me, shareholder disputes quite a bit. You get businesses that, you get partners that business partners that have been together for a while, and then all of a sudden there's a reason why one is upset with the other, and they have disputes, and then they start, blaming one partner for doing one thing, and the other's blaming this one. And then eventually it gets called into somebody, take a look at the finances. Because a lot of times with businesses, you get somebody that's, they start a business up together. You get somebody that knows how to do, this work with the widgets over here. And then the other person, maybe the partner, is handling the finances a little bit more.
Right.
And there may be not enough control or not enough segregation of duties, because a lot of times when somebody starts a business, they start it to the point where they don't have the ability to hire outside people to come in and do the work for them, right? So they have limited controls over the assets at that point. And what happens at that point is, somebody realizes I have the ability to possibly manipulate funds or take funds without anybody seeing things. So that happens a lot of times, in shareholder disputes. A lot of times somebody's accusing the other person of taking some money, or there's not a fair, equitable distribution of profits, et cetera, and we get called in for that. I mentioned the other thing too that, get involved with is, I mentioned I do work with Dave on the business valuation side, and a lot of the work we do on the business valuation side is represented through divorces. You get a couple that's divorcing, and they have a business that they own, or one spouse has a business and the other one is sort of isn't involved. Well, that's part of an asset that needs to be divided amongst each other within the divorce. So you need to determine what the value of that business is. Part of valuing the business is determining what maybe what personal expenses have been taken out of the business. That does happen from time to time, is that somebody is paying their personal expenses out of business. Well, that impacts the bottom line. That impacts the profits. So you can't just look at maybe a P&L or a tax return that has been prepared, because there may be some personal expenses in there, and there needs to be an adjustment that needs to be taken into account for those personal expenses, thus increasing the value of that business. So we get involved in that. We get involved with, one thing we tell the attorneys all the time that we deal with, and we love our attorney friends and our referral sources, give us a call. We'll let you know if we have the ability to work on that project. If it's anything to do with finances, if it's anything to do with, figuring out, financial documents, we can help you out with that in most situations. We'll let you know if we can't, for sure. But we'll have that conversation with you. We'll talk about the situation. We'll talk about the scope, or talk about the objectives that you're looking to accomplish, and we'll put a game plan together. And a lot of things, what we do when we get involved with forensic matters, we do things in phases too. So we like to tell our clients that we understand forensic accounting can be an expensive, it can be an expensive route when you're trying to figure out things. But what we talk to our clients about, we talk to our attorney friends about, is let's do things in phases. If we do things in phases, we can communicate along the way, determine the scope, what needs to be accomplished, and then we could redirect if we have to. We could say, hey, this is not what we're seeing here. Maybe we should take a look at this thing. Or just by that point, by doing things in phases, you really could say, hey, let's go further. Maybe it's not there, and let's not go any further. So that's some of the things how we approach some of the forensic jobs there. Another thing we've been working on a lot is working with prevailing wages, doing the audit for prevailing wages. New York State has a requirement in most situations with state funds and to have a CPA get involved in the review of the prevailing wages. So if we have some very large projects that we're working on within New York State that we've been the CPA involved in reporting back to NYSERDA and other organizations within the state about the prevailing wages. Just a little flavor of what we've been doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, the interesting thing you brought up was, working in phases, and I think, unfortunately, a lot of work that we get involved in, we don't know what we're going to find. Right. And I know that always presents a challenge, and what other challenges that that you face that, you might want to make us aware of today?
Yeah, some of the big challenge that we face as forensic accountants is if the documents are available, if the information we need is available. And what I mean by that, if you get a situation where, some documents may have been destroyed or may not be available, that's the tough thing is in working with counsel, working with the attorneys and trying to subpoena these records is a long process. The thing about forensic matters is that we have engagements that go on, they could go on for years, months to years, based upon, how long, they want to be drawn out. But it's also dependent on when we receive the information. So there's a lot of times where we're like, okay, this is what we're looking to accomplish. This is the scope we're looking towards. Let's go through phase one right here. Let's try and get these documents. Well, these documents might not be available. And so we have to go through a subpoena to try and get that. So it's most of the time there's conflicts going on. So to get documents from the other side, they're not so easy to be handed off. So we have to go through the legal process to get that information. That's one of our biggest challenges with forensic work.
Okay. Good. So you were talking earlier about what, some things you like to do outside of work. Obviously you like the fall, and you mentioned your garden. So what kind of vegetables you're growing in your garden?
Oh, I got, let's see, let me think about it. I actually, believe it or not, I ate the last melon today. I grew melon this year, which came out fabulous. So melon, did that, but obviously we have, we grow tomatoes, we grow cucumbers, we grow peppers, we grow zucchini, we grew pumpkins this year that we just recently put out in front of the house there. We grow garlic and basil and parsley and spaghetti squash. And I'm trying to think, I must be carrots we grew this year, potatoes we grew this year. So yeah, we like to grow.
Wow.
Part of it is just.
How big is your garden?
It's a good size. It's good.
Yeah.
It's a good size garden. Part of it is just therapy. Gardening is therapy.
Yeah.
You have your certain things in life you like to do that like it's just like getting out there into the environment, getting outside and just getting that fresh air. But it's relaxing for both my wife and I, and we enjoy doing that. And it is, sometimes it could be a lot of work, but it's good. It's a good time we spend together. We also do a lot of jarring and canning of vegetables at the end. We made a lot of sauce this year. We made pickles. I know I owe you some pickles. So
You do.
I do. I owe you some. And applesauce. We made applesauce.
Oh, nice.
Our neighbor has a lot of apples, and he's got so many of them. We went over there, and Lisa and I made some applesauce. So we like to do that. That's one thing I do like to garden, but I like the outdoors. I'm an outdoors person. I like camping. I
Yeah.
like fishing, I like, going out on the lake, anything like that. I like to go hiking, anything to do with the outdoors. I just enjoy. The fresh air is good for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great.
Mhm.
Great. Well, Paul, that's all the time that we have for today. I appreciate you coming on and joining me, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day in this beautiful fall weather.
Great, Charlie. Thank you very much. And I look forward to the next time we have a conversation like this.
Sounds good. Thanks, Paul.
Have a good one.